Hey, Frank M. Ahern, privacy consultant, blackmail expert, and author of the New York Times bestseller, How to Disappear. Today I'm going to talk about something that is essential to know, especially if you're doing online dating. And what I'm going to discuss is how to spot a fake passport. And the reason you need to know this is romance scammers almost always provide a passport or a copy of a fake passport to prove their identity. So, learn these tips and it can save your life savings. When looking at a passport, the first item you want to look at is the passport photo. Is it a valid passport photo? Now, a valid passport photo, the individual has to be looking forward. No looking sideways, down, up, or anything. They need to be centered, not off-centered, and they can have glasses on. I've seen a lot of fake passports where the person had glasses on. Now, what's equally important is the background. Is it a standard passport photo? Meaning, is it a grayish-white background? Or is there a design or a wall, or is it outside? Because if it's not a standard background, it is fake. Now, most romance scammers use American passports. Now, all American passports, above the photo, there's an insignia that says USA. And that USA insignia is overlapped onto the photo. The scammers can't reproduce that because they slap a photo on the original photo and they can't adjust it. However, what they do sometimes is use a ballpoint pen and trace it. If you look closely, you'll see it's a ballpoint pen and it's not part of the top insignia. So, photo. Is it a valid passport photo? If not, it's fake. Also, is the insignia above the photo overlapping the photo? If not, it's a fake. One of the items on passport scammers tend to make a mistake on is the issue and expiration date. If you have a passport, pull it out and look at it. You'll see if your passport was issued on February 15th, the expiration is the day before, on February 14th. Many scammers will just do it from the 15th to the 15th. Recently, I came across a fake passport and it was for 12 years. Passports are not 12 years. Now, what you can do is search online and whatever country the passport is issued from, see how long they issue passports. Typically, it's 10 years. But the issue and expiration is really important to look at. And if the person tells you that they have a special passport because of travel, government contracts, or whatever it may be, don't believe it. It's just a bunch of bull. Another tell on fake passports is the font over the name and date of birth. Because what scammers do is they type, a Word document, the name and date of birth, then they cut it out, and they have to place it over the original name. And they have to make the fake name larger than the original name in order to cover it. So look at the font. Is it out of size? Is it different type of font? Is it off, tilted? Is it off-centered a bit? These are the little things you look for. And if the font looks strange, it's probably a hanky passport, so don't believe them. At the bottom of all passports, there are 2 rows, and they have these brackets like little arrows going across. So the first line of brackets always starts with a P. And then there's a bracket, and then from the bracket, it'll have the country, USA, and then the person's last name. After the last name, there are 2 brackets that go to the first name. If there's a middle name, there'll be 1 bracket. So look at that first line. And what's key is counting the brackets, okay? Again, P, bracket, country joined with the last name, 2 brackets, the first name, 1 bracket, the middle name. If it's not set up that way or a bracket is not correct, it is fake. The bottom sequence of numbers starts off with your passport number. If you look at the upper right-hand corner of a passport, it displays the passport number. So in the bottom sequence, it's to the very left. After that, it will show the country it's issued from, like USA. And then it moves on to your date of birth. But what's different here is your date of birth shows up as year, month, and date. If you look at the passport photo to the right, you'll see the date of birth as day, month, and year. Many scammers screw this up because they just don't know, or whether they don't realize that there's a particular structure to it. Sometimes they just forget to change the date of birth and there's a conflicting date of birth. After the date of birth will be a letter, M or F, male or female. This is another item the romance scammers are just unaware of, or they just don't fix, okay? Because you got to remember, tweaking a passport to make it, to a different name, different date of birth, there's a number of things that need to be done. And the only way to do it is to edit over it. And sometimes when you edit over it, what happens? It leads to the big font. So take your time, look at the photo, look at the emblem over the photo, the issue date, the sequence of numbers at the bottom. Do they jive? Most important is the passport number on the lower left-hand corner the same as the upper right-hand corner. Typically, it is. What is usually different is the date of birth. Is the date of birth the same as the one next to the photo and the one in the bottom row of numbers? And again, the one next to your photo is day, month, year. The one at the bottom is year, month, day, and that's always followed by the letter F or M. I want to cap this video out with something very important, and it has to do with romance scams. I have worked a tremendous amount of romance scams, and there are some key reasons why individuals become victims. Number one is they don't do diligence. They don't do a background check on the individual they become involved with, and they just all of a sudden fall in love with them, and then they believe their story hook, line, and sinker. They don't have videos, and I'm talking a video call like this where the person is clear background, you can see their eyes, their mouth moving, their head turning, and a daily conversation. Because the scammer will say they work on an oil rig and the oil rig will blow up, or they're in the military, they're in a secret zone, they can't video, or some other cockamamie story. The bottom line is, if you're dating someone online and they can't chat and they can't video, it's a problem, because all you're doing is involving yourself with an unidentified stranger. And again, someone who sends you a copy of a passport, it does not mean it's their passport, does not mean it's valid. So take your time. Most important, never send money to someone you met on the internet. If you do, you are probably never going to get that money back. And if somebody asks you for money, that's when you say goodbye. So be safe and be smart.